Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for our webinar today, Construction Accounting in the Cloud. I'm Jeremiah McNicholas, the Product Marketing Manager here at Sage for Construction and Real Estate Solutions. And I have the pleasure of running through this presentation with you and our guest speaker here, Bob Hollander. Bob, if you could push on to the next slide. Bob is the senior executive of Cloudospace. He's the president of Swizznet, and his objective is to help companies benefit from a move of their critical accounting applications into the cloud. Bob, go ahead and take it away.
Great. Hey, thanks, Jeremiah. Glad to be with you all today. We've got a great topic, and it regards the move of critical accounting applications into the cloud. So let's just dive right in, and we need to get real. Here is what's happening. Cloud transformation is really hitting our market space, hitting the construction marketplace like never before. And we're going to talk a little bit about why that is. So it's here, it's happening, it's now. Cloud transformation is really on the rise in our space, especially in construction. So in this this presentation and over the next 45 minutes, we're going to give you insight on why it's happening. There's a lot going on. We're going to categorize it, try to give you more insight, see if it aligns to what you're encountering. Once you do that, we're then going to try to explore how do you leverage this move. And really, we'll do that by showing you what the options are for you when it comes to considering a move to the cloud. Okay, so we'll make sure that you can take away strong ideas, strong concepts of what your options are. And then once we see those options, we're going to give you some tips and tricks on how you decide what option's best for your business. Okay, so let's dig in on the why. Why are folks making the move to the cloud? Well, first of all, let's build out a couple of these. Here's some ones team that we've been hearing about for years. Hey, it's economical, it's high performance, and it's really secure. Well, guess what? On cloud economics, it's now become obvious. The cloud can compete very favorably with do-it-yourself, DIY strategies, and other strategies. Gartner says that startup is really only the only real obstacle anymore. Startup costs are the only real obstacle to moving to the cloud anymore. So you got to watch that. And we'll talk about that in a minute. But once you make the move to the cloud, the savings accelerate as your business transforms and you become more and more used to consuming technology rather than providing it so you can consume it. So cloud economics, it's become more and more obvious. You're also going to find that the cloud comes with so much packed in. Years back, you'd have to layer on a lot of things, layer on more security, layer on more backup strategies, complex strategies. More and more cloud offers come with a lot built in, and that helps power the benefits of the economic model. Next up is cloud performance. Cloud arguably can perform as fast and as well as any on-prem solution you can build out today. What's more, with cloud, you are able to do this scale out technology. And what that means is you can just keep rolling up more and more compute power, more and more storage capacity to meet your business need. What this translates to is a performance model that scales with your workloads. So cloud performance is there, and it competes with anything that we might have done years back trying to build our own solutions. So performance is really no longer an issue, and in fact, it could be an advantage for cloud. One thing I'll call out on cloud, remember what cloud is. Cloud is really like remote data centers with lots of compute power powered by networks. The other side of the equation, right, that sometimes we forget is how fast the network needs to be so that the cloud's a good solution. So cloud performance is really taking off from a network standpoint as well. Big, fast networks are out there that just make cloud seem like it's next door to you. It's as fast as your data center was that you might have operated yourself. So big, fast data centers combined with big, fast networks are making cloud a really strong performance option. One quick side note I got to give you. With 5G, everybody talks about the hype of 5G. It's an exciting time with 5G. 5G is faster than Wi-Fi access in most countries today. Not quite the US, interestingly enough. We lag a little bit, but it's amazing to see how fast 5G can make solutions operate. So this cloud performance angle is only going to get better with the deployment of 5G. On the security front, we've seen that despite all the hacks that are out there and that are public, guess what? Hacks are happening to everybody. They happen in the cloud. They happen in do-it-yourself architectures. But there are more security wrappers, more security options, more capability in most cloud solutions than you might be able to consider yourself. Okay, so even with these highlighted breaches and things like that happen, these cloud scenarios will oftentimes offer you a higher level of security than you can build out for yourself. And to make it really plain, let's just look at it. These clouds are often enterprise grade, and we'll talk about making sure you choose enterprise grade. So if you move to the cloud, you could get a slice of a really cool security technology you could not afford on your own, because it's massive and it's enterprise. So if you think about next gen firewall services, web application firewalls, WAFs, these kinds of things are all available in the cloud that you can buy at a per drink level, or your service provider can buy at a per drink level, and consequently you benefit from increased security. So we've been talking about these three important elements that are going to transform people's consumption in the cloud. So they're all happening in a big way. Economics are strong. The performance is as good or better. Security, there's options that you couldn't get readily afford yourself. But here's the one that's tipping our market in construction. It's the collaboration angle. The move to the cloud has been dramatically accelerated by the pandemic. All right, so this makes perfect sense, right? Folks need to gain access from work from home, right? You're not in the office anymore. You need access to the accounting application, to ERP, to all the ecosystem of technologies that power your business and enable you to perform from home. And you can substitute the word job site for home, right? And you get to feel that this is a really compelling value proposition in the construction space. You're now enabled, once you get into the cloud, you can open up more integrations and partner and team more with all your vendors and all the folks that are engaged, right? Consequently, you're going to be able to share and collaborate in real time what's going on in your business. And why is it so important in construction? Construction is collaboration. We know this, right? We're not in the manufacturing business where we got a factory and we're pumping out products. Construction is really the ultimate of collaboration. It's all manner of vendors, partners, technologies, providers coming together to complete a project, right? So not only does this mean cloud transformation is not only required because of the collaboration requirement, but the cloud is going to be a stepping stone to increasing the productivity of your business as you open up new channels to collaboration. Okay, so that's why transformation is happening, and it's really accelerating in construction. I'll give you a couple other data points just to make sure you feel comfortable that it is really hitting like never before. Here's one from Forbes back right at the start of the pandemic, and Jeannie Meister commented that COVID-19 is becoming the accelerator for the greatest workplace transformation in our lifetime. How we work, exercise, shop, learn, communicate, and of course, where we work will be changed forever. Well, in construction, we've been working all over the place for ever. We know that to be the case. But gaining access to our accounting, ERP plays, our integrated set of applications, that's now becoming a requirement for all of our vendors and from whatever location. And it's just merely amplified that we can't get to the office as much as we used to. Also, here's another one from the CEO of Microsoft. So thinking about super software providers like Microsoft and Sage, you can see that they're compelled to act. Here's the quote from Satya. We've seen 2 years worth of digital transformation in 2 months, from remote teamwork and learning to sales and customer service to critical cloud infrastructure and security. We are working alongside our customers to help them adapt and make this move. That's what Sage is doing. And probably a lot of you have been on Sage webinars, attended Sage sessions, and know that Sage is positioning itself to do just that, help our customer base adapt and stay open for business in this new normal. Done right, it's way more than staying open. It's expanding your capability and perhaps accelerating into new value. Okay, so a couple of proof points that this cloud transformation is happening. It's happening in a big way. So that's exciting, maybe obvious to everybody, right? We're into this thing pretty far now. So let's talk about what your options are if you're going to really embrace cloud. Well, lucky you. Take a look at it. There are more options than you can shake a stick at. There are all manner of providers, and they provide services in all manner of elements. So much like we think of our construction ecosystem, there's raw goods and then there's finished goods providers. So you'll see on this slide, there's infrastructure clouds like Azure, Amazon, Google. They'll supply the infrastructure, anything you need, all the capacity on the planet available at your fingertips. Then there's application clouds. This would be like Oracle, Citrix, Salesforce, VMware. They're supplying more platform as a service. They supply the application in a cloud format, and you get to leverage maybe a higher up level, not just infrastructure, but maybe the components, the middleware, and the technology that allows you to then populate the applications you want on top. Then there's cloud component providers, okay? Like a co-location company. I don't know if you've heard of them, but like Equinix is on here. They've got probably 100 data centers around the world, and you can, basically rent a data center. You don't need to build data centers anymore. There's all kinds of providers like Equinix. vExchange is an example, Neutrality, CoreSite. These are all cloud component providers that you could look at. And then you've probably heard some of these managed cloud providers like a Rackspace or CenturyLink, TierPoint, or Internap. They'll offer you managed infrastructure. So it's not quite, roll your own, but they've got nice graduated offers for you to choose from based on how much you want to do yourself. And then there's specialty clouds, and I work at one. Swiznet's on here. You've got Ace Cloud Hosting and some others. These are folks that have real expertise in a technology or in a sector or in a vertical. So Swiznet's a cloud specialist in accounting. So we're really an accounting cloud. And then don't forget, there's the ultimate in cloud technology, which is SaaS, right? So it's the ultimate in that it's all turnkey, right? So that's on here as well. Sage Intacct, great example of SaaS, and you guys know likely how powerful that tool set is as well. So these are your options. It's quite a continuum, and it can be really daunting for you to take a look at and try to understand. So this is where Sage has been spending countless hours and applied a lot of manpower to try to make sure that as you look at Sage architectures, you've got the power of choice at your fingertips to choose how you consume that technology. So all the Sage technologies, all the Sage architectures, they're all designed to work across multiple options based on what your need is. So that's what we're going to explore in just a moment. The cool thing is, if you're in finance, if you're in accounting, you know that accounting application, that ERP application, that's the anchor app. That's the anchor app. Where and how you consume that app is critical and sets the tone for the rest of your collaboration. So it's really important. So, this is a mission critical decision, because a lot of the rest of the company falls in line with the decision you make on how you host, how you consume your accounting application. All right, so we're going to try to simplify it a little bit. Here's your power of choice. There's really three big buckets. Take all those options you saw previously. You can build your own cloud and host your application that way. You can look at hosting providers, or you can consume that software, that Sage solution, as a service on the World Wide Web. So based on these models, things get simpler or more complicated. So here's your eval criteria, as it were. If you build your own cloud to host your application, you're gonna choose the Sage software solution that you're most comfortable with. Perhaps it's Sage 100 construction, perhaps it's 300, and then guess what? You can still choose your model. Would you like it on a perpetual paid-up license, or do you prefer a subscription model? So that's kind of cool. You still get to choose that, but then you have to decide, where's this going to be located? Is it in your data center? Is it in a colo provider like Equinix? Or are you going to put it on one of the hyperscalers, maybe Azure, maybe AWS? And then you're going to supply the infrastructure in those locations. You're either going to run it from Azure, or you're going to buy servers and put them in your data center and build your own cloud. Okay. That's different than as you move across this list. The hosting provider is going to choose the cloud, or maybe even offer you options of clouds for that compute. And your SaaS solution, it's included. No decision necessary. Sage chooses, has chosen how it's delivered, that it runs on hyperscalers, and it's not really an issue or concern for you. You just consume it as an application. So you can see as you move across, the responsibility transfers incrementally from you to the other models. Okay, really important on that Sage software line is that you recognize, if you go to SaaS, you use the Sage Intacct construction model. What a killer application that is. And what a strong product suite it is. And it offers all the integrations you're going to need, with growing integrations. If you're most comfortable with the on-prem solution or the traditional license model, you'll choose those models, and there'll be no change if you go to hosting. All right. Then other considerations come out, and I'm going to call it out. This next one's really important for you. If you build your own cloud, you're going to leverage your Sage business partner to make sure that the integrations work with key providers. So if you're using Procore, you've got the HH2 integration that you need. You're happy with that. It operates. You know how to get TimberScan to work. You've figured out how to layer on eTakeoff or other estimating solutions. Those integrations are really critical, and a consideration in how you host. Your cloud, you're going to team with your business partner, your Sage business partner, to solve it. You go to a hosting company, they're going to know how to do it ideally, and they'll team with you and the Sage business partner to solve it. And if you go to Sage Intacct, it's built in. The integrations are up and ready to go, and your Sage business partner can enable them for you. Okay, so a little bit about software. Then these next ones are really important considerations because they do impact the customer experience. We're going to talk about that in just a minute. If you build it yourself, you'll need a remote access solution. How do people gain access? hosting providers and offer you a couple of solutions. SaaS, it's on the World Wide Web. You're good to go. Security, that's going to be on your cloud. You're going to build out those security options. For hosting providers, make sure you're looking at two-factor, and rest assured, Intact's already got built-in security, much like we described earlier, leveraging all the hyperscale technology security options that are out there to keep your security, keep your data private and secure. But if you build your cloud, that's on you. Likewise, same for operations and upgrade. Another important one that we're going to call out today is end user support. Gang, this one gets looked over too frequently, right? A lot of times the CTO is going to be excited about the infrastructure and how it's housed. The finance team might be excited about the cost and the economies of scale of cloud, but don't forget, your users are going to need support. If they're all in office today, it's probably not a big deal. Not a lot can go wrong. You go to the cloud, you might have somebody, trying to gain access overnight from a different city, from a different country, and you might have the need for 24/7 support. So figure that out. If you build your own cloud, that's on you. If you look at a hosting solution or SaaS, that's on those providers. And then if you're in finance, you guys already know this key criteria. How do you like to consume technology? If you like CapEx, one-time spend, get it done, get it spent. Hey, building your own cloud can be ideal. You can capitalize, depreciate those assets, and it's brilliant. You can also kind of mix it and go hybrid. Buy your hardware and then you do a subscription model on your Sage. Kind of cool, feather it in. Hosting, that infrastructure is going to always come to you as an OpEx model. So you got to make sure the MRR, monthly recurring, works for you. And that's how SaaS is delivered too. That's an OpEx model. Okay? So there it is, that big, huge, confusing slide, born down into three categories. Build it yourself, use a hosting provider, or consume it as SaaS. So if those are your options, what do you care about most? Let's be selfish. Cool tech is cool tech, but that's not what you need to be. That can't be your top priority. In fact, it doesn't make my top three priorities. This is all about you. And in my experience, and I've been around the block a long time, it's really about the user experience, the support, and how the implementation goes that determine how successful your transformation is, right? A botched I'm going to work from the bottom up really quickly. A botched implementation costs dearly in adoption and time to value, time to transformation. So you got to work on that. Support. If you deploy a solution that's not supported, also delayed results, delayed delayed time to benefit. And then the number one most important thing when you make this move is what's the user experience. You don't want to go backwards. If folks liked how their accounting solution was performing previously, the last thing you want to do is make it, more cumbersome to operate, slower to use, or more problematic. So, folks, this is your number one element as you go out and look at technology. So don't get sold on gigs, RAM, terabyte, and those kinds of things. The tech has to support these elements. So when it comes to user experience, you're going to bring your own license for Sage software, and you're going to locate it on your technology, and you're going to deploy something called RDS, Remote Desktop Services. If you go to hosting, take that same, bring your own license, either subscription or paid up perpetual, and look for a good hosting company that offers a superior remote access solution. Okay? So remember, I'll finish on Sage Intacct. With Sage Intacct, it's all built in and it's ready to roll, and you know that it's going to be available 24/7, and it's secure through web and SSL encryption. Okay, so if we can get, as you go out and evaluate it, think about, will your users enjoy and be able to leverage the technology that you're moving to? Okay, if you don't want disruption and you don't want to move to a new software platform, you're going to leverage your current Sage solution on your own cloud, or it's going to be a hosting provider. Okay, and then think about it. You've made the move. You've got a good user experience. If that user now has a problem like we described earlier, getting on, maybe the web's not working or it seems slow, who are they going to call? Who are they going to call? It's going to be you with your cloud. So make sure you build out an SLA and define support, what's supported and not supported. Just manage expectations. It's not rocket science. You build your own cloud. Have hours of operation. Have an email that they can send in for service requests. If you look at hosting providers, look at their client satisfaction and what their support hours are. Do they align with your needs? If you're 24/7, make sure your hosting provider is 24/7. With Intacct, you know that you've got your business partner you can rely on, and you know that it's going to be always available because it's a SaaS solution. On the implementation, make sure you build a plan to implement. Again, right, we kind of forget about it. Is this going to be hard to implement? If it's hard to implement, it's going to be hard to get the value prop quickly to benefit your users. So make sure you build out a project plan, you test the environment, and you do a launch that includes end user training. That's the big deal on this one. Make sure that there's end user training, right? Why would you expect somebody to all of a sudden know how to leverage the solution in the cloud if you haven't done training? A hosting provider can give you training, hopefully. Make sure that that's available, and can they then ramp you up in days or weeks? Sage and your business partner can train your users, can demo, and help you make the migration. All capable, all available to you. So there it is. I might have surprised you. The tech's got to be solid, but it's more about user experience, the support of your environment, and how well it gets implemented that determines if you're going to have a successful migration to the cloud. Okay, so let's say you're ready to make the move. How do you choose a vendor? I'm a big proponent in this first element. Seeing is believing. Don't buy anything you haven't seen operate. If you're going to build your own cloud, no worries. Make sure you see the application perform on the cloud platform that you're deploying. Hey guys, I need to make sure it performs. You're going to partner up with your Sage BP to make sure it's sized right, that we got the right size RAM, the number of VMs, it's configured properly, and that it performs right. Okay, so if you make the move, make sure you see it. Your hosting provider should be able to demo it. Some will even demo your solution for them. Hey, I want to say, I'm Sage 100 construction. Let me see that. I'm on 300. Let me see that. Right. So seeing is believing. And then with Intacct, that's going to be a natural part of your evaluation. See the application perform. See how it compares to what you're doing currently, and make sure that you're satisfied with all the feature set that's included. That's been going on for months and on and on. It's a really important element to get that Intacct trial and take a look at how it operates if you're considering a move to SaaS. Choosing a vendor also includes, like I said earlier, what's that end user support model look like? If you build your own cloud, no worries. Just have a plan. Just have a plan. You're delivering the support to those remote users now. Know what your offer is to them. Set their expectations, and don't sweat it after you set the expectations. Just hit the expectations. A good hosting provider is going to have lots of different support methodologies: chat, email, voice. They'll have onboarding for your users. The best ones are going to be Sage certified. What's that mean? When somebody calls in and says, I'm having trouble doing my estimating, they're going to say, oh, I got it. I know what you're doing. I've seen that before. I can take a look at what's going on. They can dock in faster if they're Sage certified. So look for that. And then if you choose Sage and Intact, then you know you're good to go, because you've got the strength of the business partner behind you as well as Sage themselves. Make sure you leverage training. Make sure you take time to onboard so you can head off problems down the road. Finally, when it comes to looking at your vendors, look for operational excellence. Reliability and uptime are gotta-haves. So if you're building your own cloud, design for redundancy. You want no single points of failure, and ideally you'd have strategies for disaster and quick backup recoveries, right? If you look at a hosting provider, ask them for their uptime. The best ones are 99.95 or better. That's best in class. That's what you want. Why? You're a customer. It's a service. You just want uptime. Same for Sage Intact and Construction. You know that's best in class. It's built on a scale-out architecture. That really means that it can scale almost infinitely, and you're not going to have a performance issue on Sage Intact. Okay, so we've walked through it, and we're glad to take some questions on it. But here's the summary. Your options are really a private cloud that you build yourself, a hosted environment, or true SaaS with Sage Intact. When you go about your evaluation, my advice, and I'm a technologist, is make technology second. Make these the top objectives. What's my user experience? How do I support my users? And can I get to value quickly through a quality implementation? Okay, user experience. I just can't emphasize that enough. And when it comes to choosing vendors, you're going to keep those elements when you do your eval. That user experience, you'll get a feel for it if you get a demo. Get a demo. Look at it, touch it, feel it, run it, play with it for days if you can get that from the hosting provider, certainly available in Intact. If you build it yourself, you'll want to demo it before you release it to the clients. Put it through its paces, make sure print works, make sure integrations work, make sure the screens paint fast, make sure the user experience is going to be good. Your best vendors, if you use hosting, they're going to be Sage certified. They're going to have Sage certified people. And then don't forget, ask about those operational performance metrics. What's your uptime? What's your client sat? What's your SLA on answering my phone call, in the middle of the night if I've got a problem? So sweat those elements. I know we moved through that really quickly, but you can have access to these slides and you can use these criteria. In my experience, this will probably bolster your chance of a successful transformation. Again, one more time, folks get excited about the technology when they need to be excited about how the user experiences that technology. Okay. A little bit about Swizznet and Sage, just so you know. We've been working with Sage for years and years and years, and we've perfected the deployment of that technology with business partners and with Sage corporate. So a little bit about us. We do supply a hosted solution, and we do attempt to differentiate on user experience and a couple of the other core elements. Why? Because that's what customers keep coming back to us on. And with that, I'll hand it over to Jeremiah to talk a little bit about Intact.
Fantastic. Thanks, Bob. And Among the options that Bob's presented thus far, you saw off to the right there in our columns, the Sage Intacct Construction. I want to dive a little bit more into that solution. So what it is, it's really the only cloud native financial management solution specifically for construction companies. Offers the power of choice and best of breed operational solutions. And when we say native cloud financial management, this is a product that was built from the ground up to be deployed over the web, right? So a little different from a hosted product that can be deployed, within your walls or in the cloud. This is a product that's really designed, down to the code to be delivered to you over the web. We've also, looked to, as Bob mentioned, the construction is collaboration, right? So unlike other, single vendor suite-based product solutions, Sage Intacct Constructions really offers the mix of applications used by construction industry today and adapting to operational solutions in the future. So a modern application programming interface for integration with the solutions you use today and well into the future. Real reasons to look at Intacct Construction. We've really, driven home the native cloud solution and the benefits of that today, so I won't focus too much on that. But proven financial management and best of breed integrations really driving some value from this product. Bob, can you progress to the next slide? So again, focused quite a bit on benefits of a native cloud solution, but speaking to proven financial management, Sage Intacct Construction is the first, or Sage Intacct is the first and only preferred provider of the AICPA. We're actually the only vendor to have ever earned their endorsement. And if you're not familiar with the AICPA, they literally wrote the book on accounting. It's organization well reputed in the space. Also the undisputed leader in customer satisfaction, as evidenced by our rating of 98 out of 100 on G2 across over several thousand reviews. And we're recognized by Gartner as the undisputed leader in innovation in the visionary quadrant for Gartner's overall analysis. So really leading the pack here in terms of technology and delivery of a very sound accounting solution. Bob, if you could jump to the next slide, please. And just speaking to the integrations, so Sage has actually taken a leadership position in construction finance interoperability through Construction Progress Coalition. Sage, as well as many other organizations in the space, we're working together to create standardization for integrations across the board, so that the solutions that you use every day speak correctly to each other and just work right. So really working across the industry to deliver the best integrations to power the workflows in your office and out. And with that, going to look to the audience for some questions. Also want to direct you to, we have a survey. We really want to hear from you. So if you can see the URL here, I'll also drop it into the chat for everyone at the end of the presentation here. But we do want to hear from you and what your, kind of check your pulse on what direction you're really looking at for the cloud and where you see the most benefit.
All right, everybody, now we're going to go ahead and take a few questions from the audience. So if you have any questions on any of the presentation thus far, go ahead and enter those into the Q&A screen or Q&A window on your screen. Looks like we have a number of questions in the queue now, but plenty of time to cover any burning questions you might have. So just diving right in here. Let's see. So here's a question from Jeff Hayes of Gridline Constructors. Just I guess the big question of the day here: why do I need to worry about a cloud? And I think maybe more broadly the different types of clouds that we've covered today. Why is this important? What why does one need to worry about which route they take? Bob, Sam, do you have any thoughts on this?
Yeah, let me jump in there. Can you hear me, Jeremiah?
I can, yes, coming in loud and clear.
Great. So, yeah, that's a great question. Don't be tricked that you need to go to the cloud because it's a fad. You only want to go to the cloud because you want the benefit of the cloud. So your move to the cloud is to get out of, building and operating your own infrastructure and to enable better collaboration. If you've got those knocked, you might not consider a move to the cloud. But it's really that first part of the presentation. You want to go to the cloud because the market's going there. It allows more collaboration, and you can get better performance over trying to run your own technology for the mission of running your construction business. So it's about an enablement of your business and getting those benefits. It's a little bit ethereal, right? It's like, hey, next month it's not going to be way different than it was last month. But by making the move to the cloud, you open up so much more and you increase your capabilities. You could save some money, you could increase performance, you could solve some problems. It all depends on your current state. So really good, fair question about why you do it. Give thought to why you're doing it. Don't just do it because of it's a fad. You do it because you want to become more collaborative, more competitive, and you want to get out of running tech.
Well said. Thanks, Bob. Another question here concerning Mac operating system from Judy at WCPG. Will the Cloud Tech work on a Mac?
Sam, you want
Jeremiah,
to take that?
Yeah, and absolutely. And whether it's you choose to move to a SaaS solution like the great product that Sage has developed for Intacct, or you're looking at a hosting solution because you're going to continue with that desktop software, a good cloud provider is going to provide you a platform agnostic solution, which means it's going to work on any kind of device, including Mac and mobile devices. Really.
Great, Sam. Thanks. And here's a good one. You guys are kind of coming in and out on my end.
Great. Can you hear me, Jeremiah? Bob.
I can hear you now. Yes.
Yeah. I'll tell that person with a question. Make sure you see it on Mac. I'm on a Mac right now, and seeing is believing, and that was part of our presentation. Make sure you see what you want, see the application you want to perform on the platforms you want. So good question, and darn well has to work on Mac.
Absolutely. Seeing is believing there, right?
Yep.
Here's another great one. So, can you do your own data backups on the cloud platform?
There are strategies for that. Depending on if you go to Intacct, it's all built in, right? But there are options and capabilities to keep a copy yourself with SaaS models and with hosting models. By and large, when you go to one of these platforms, you buy that as a service, but you can always talk to that vendor about options to keep a copy yourself.
Great. Thanks, Bob. And to the question about Intacct, backups are happening with Intacct. It's something that you don't need to worry about, right? So the system is being backed up and is prepared to be restored in the event that that's necessary. Get a lot of questions about the differences between Intacct and Sage 300 CRE, and there are considerable differences between the two products. Sage Intacct Construction we launched last year, about a year ago today, to the construction space. Is a cloud native software as a service solution. So different in comparison to Sage 300 CRE, which is hosted on-premise or in a cloud environment. It's a little bit different product, two separate solutions, I guess. If you're considering one or the other, we're happy to work with you to determine what's best for your business based on the functionality present in the two and kind of the benefits overall delivered between the two products. Here's a good question. So if you migrate to the cloud, can you how does the data migration component of that work? I guess in terms of a migration to a Swizznet environment. Bob, Sam, do you want to speak to that?
Yeah, Bob, do you want me to take that?
Yeah.
So with a cloud migration for your desktop or your server-based Sage software, most of the migrations that I've been a part in, the clients have worked directly with us and with their Sage business partners to perform that migration. It's really, really common to see folks couple an upgrade with that migration, so they're killing two birds with one stone. They're getting onto the latest and greatest while they make that move to the cloud.
Excellent. And kind of a tack onto that. So if you migrate to the cloud, could you migrate back to an in-house server without any data loss or disruption to the business?
Sure, you could. I think that the downtime is really minimal because you would, in the event you were to move back to an on-premises solution, you would first stand up that infrastructure, get everything ready for that Sage software installation, and then migration, and it would be just like moving to the cloud, only in reverse. So all your data comes with you, and there should be minimal downtime.
Fantastic. Here's another good one from Rick at Executive Homes. They're a small company running Sage 100 on their own server right now. Looking at replacing that in the next couple of years. But for the small company that does have maybe a hardware transition, looming in the future, is it economical to make a change if there's only maybe 4 or 5 users using the product?
Yeah, definitely. So cloud providers, of course, have access to huge amounts of resources, which means we can provide cloud access to clients with smaller budgets and provide that really enterprise-grade, scalable solution in a way that is often much more economical than building a whole new on-premises infrastructure and providing that remote access. So you get not only the scale, you get a nice affordable way to provide a secure and remote and highly available environment to your accounting workers.
Absolutely, and especially with a hardware change looming in the future, there's a real opportunity to see some return on the investment there for the move, right? Kind of get out of the business of maintaining hardware and kind of do what you got into business for in the first place, right?
Absolutely.
So we got a few questions coming in here regarding Sage Intacct and the integration with Procore. I don't have an announcement to make today on that front, though we are working closely with Procore to bring that into fruition. So currently today, no integration with Procore for Sage Intacct, but that is set to change here in the future. Again, not making any announcements today, but we do have that in store for the future. So if Procore is critical to your business, we hear you, and we are working to introduce that into Sage Intacct construction. Here's a good one here. So we have moved our server to the cloud, and since doing that, our reporting runs extremely slow, and it takes a couple minutes to even open a single task in Sage. This is coming from Michaela at Lewis Construction. Any thoughts on that? Do you have an idea of what might make reporting run slower in a cloud environment?
Yeah, there are some things. Does that question say if it was 100 or 300, Jeremiah?
Doesn't say specifically.
Okay. So I have seen some examples of this, and often it's come down to configuration. With 300, we've seen that kind of issue periodically, and what we found was that the Sage database had really outgrown SQL Express, and they were using the SQL replicator. And as soon as we bumped them up to that full SQL, and we split the data out onto a data server separate from the applications, we saw a much more efficient use of the resources, and everything started performing the way that they would have expected it to initially. And so that was a great change. And sometimes it can just be configuration within the Sage database itself, and the Sage partner is able to help alleviate some of that slowness. But yeah, it can be a number of things. It can be SQL, it can be size of the database, it could be maybe the disk space just completely full. It's one of the benefits of going with a managed solution, of course, is that everything's being managed for you on the back end. All of that real-time monitoring is in place.
Absolutely. So, McNicholas, kind of hard to troubleshoot your specific issue on the call here today, but we'd be happy to work with you to better understand the cloud environment that you're utilizing, and how we might get you in a better place with it, right? So we'll reach out offline after the presentation. Here's one from Benjamin at Chrysopholy Bros. The current Sage specs only allow for use on a LAN. We've been using Cisco VPN RDP to connect into the workstations. We're looking to get on the cloud. Are you saying now that this is no longer a limitation from Sage? And I'll say personally, I'm not familiar with the Sage specs that Benjamin's referring to. But my answer to this would be, yeah, that's no longer a limitation. Thoughts, Bob, Sam?
Yeah, absolutely. That LAN environment can be replicated and is replicated in the cloud, day in and day out by hosting companies. So Swizznet does that, others do that. So you can take that setup to the cloud on a hosting environment and experience the exact same Sage experience, software experience. So yeah, no longer a difficulty, and so that path, that middle choice of hosting is available to you absolutely for that package, that software package.
Fantastic. Here's another one from Johan at Bookkeeping Services. I'm working in the cloud where it is safe, and my computer gets a virus when I'm not in the cloud. Will that affect my work in the cloud? So something that's localized to their machine, does that affect their data in the cloud if they were to connect to it?
Bob, you want me to?
Sam, yeah, you want to take that one, or?
Yeah, I'll jump in there. So, if you have some of your software that you're running, so Sage in this case is in the cloud, and you get a virus on your computer, those environments are technically kind of separate. Now, that's different than you're using Outlook in your hosted environment, and you open a piece of an application that's got some sort of a malware or some sort of a virus attached to it. Hosting, you're going to have that enterprise-grade security in place with most providers that are going to be providing you with that real-time ransomware and virus protection. So that's one of the benefits of the cloud is, of course, the enhanced security. But to your question, if something were to happen to your computer, in theory, you should be able to just wipe that or get a new computer and pick up where you left off with the cloud solution. Bob, if you have anything to add to that.
Yeah, spot on. They're two different environments, so it's pretty hard to pollute one environment from the other, right? So yeah, that's going to be one of the benefits. What's on your laptop is not in the cloud because you're running the application in the cloud, the Sage in the cloud. So that's a real benefit. Now, if you work hard at it, you could probably pollute both environments. But your hosting provider is going to have a lot of strong security. I can tell you at Swizznet, we stop infections just about every single day as things happen. But yeah, you probably experience a heightened level of security, and it'd be harder for that virus to get to your hosting environment, if not blocked and impossible because of the hosting technology.
Fantastic. So kind of an extra layer of safety for your data and such, having it kind of walled off in the cloud, right?
You got it. And let me pile on one more thing, just for everybody's sake. We all carry on about how cool security technology is. Having backups is your most important step. So, you know, and that's for your laptop, your desktop, as well as your Sage environment. Should anything ever happen, you need to be able to go back to a clean copy. Hosting companies provide you with that. Sage Intacct is already backed up. So just kind of a note to everybody: make sure your backups are running, so you can always get back to a clean set, no matter how you're running your software.
Absolutely, excellent advice. Here's a question from Sarah at Paris Companies. We're currently have a hosting company and use remote desktop into the server. And it works really well for them. Any reason that they would maybe want to change at this point from what they're using?
Great question, and there are certainly some different technologies out there that provide a different experience to the remote desktop. So really, if you're already hosted and you're on a typical remote desktop environment, there's two still hosted paths you can go in. One would be an alternative kind of hosting with published application technology, remote app, or Citrix Zen app technology, where Sage doesn't launch in a remote desktop window, but rather launches in a way that it looks like it's installed locally, so you get more of a native feel, like it's running on your local computer. You get that local printer interactions. You get that multi-monitor support. The other path would be to a SaaS type solution, software as a service like Intacct. So I think those are the two main paths you could go in, but certainly if what you're doing now is safe and scalable and working well for you and highly available, then I think you're in a pretty good spot.
Excellent. And again, getting a lot of questions in here about differences between 300 CRE and Intacct, some pricing considerations, and questions about data migration. We've got some cloud experts on the call here, but specific to Intacct, I think we'll engage with you in a one-on-one environment on your specific needs from a solution like Intacct, and you know how we can best serve you in that environment. So do expect someone to reach out after the presentation's concluded to discuss the best path forward for your organization if Intacct is in fact something you're interested in. So a few questions, regarding pricing and feature-by-feature comparison. Be a lot to get into on this call. It's something we'd rather take, offline in a one-on-one environment. Not seeing any other questions outside of the Intacct versus 300 CRE topic. And we are coming up to the end of our time here. So with that, I think we'll go ahead and conclude the presentation. Again, if we didn't get to your question specifically on the line, we will reach out to you and discuss in a one-on-one environment. Want to thank Bob and Sam for joining us today for the presentation and the Q&A. Thanks, guys. And I want to thank all of you for your time today, and enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks, everybody.